Welcome to Respawn Aimfire, episode 204, the Kick-Ass Irreverent Gaming podcast from Affable Idiots. I am Holden DePardo, and I'm here with my co-host,
Chad Michael Innes.
And we've got the dreamiest fan base of all time joining us from all over the world right now. You can catch us on Twitch Sunday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, just like you might be doing right now. We're also available on YouTube and podcast services Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. But wait, a new challenger is approaching. There's a new way to view us, actually just new content that we're going to be putting out. We're going to be putting out a bi-weekly video essay series called The Grind. You might have heard about this from a we'll say unfinished project last year, but it's a new kind of method we're taking to this, which is Chad and I'll be making a video together, breaking down some sort of analysis that we have or some sort of kind of strongly held opinion that we want to share that might be longer form than what would properly fit into a podcast or make sense in the context of a podcast. So we're doing The Grind. It's coming out April 9th is the first episode, and it's going to be focusing on why the Switch Pro isn't what you think it is. Kind of. You'll see. If you want to know more, you have to wait till April 9th.
Oh shit, we've given ourselves a date. We've given ourselves a topic. It has to happen now.
It has to happen now. I mean, it's mostly done at this point, but it'll be April 9th. It'll totally be there. So I'm excited to show that to you guys when it comes out. But we're just going to go to the rest of the episode now because we got a lot of interesting things to talk about.
Dope.
We have Jade, Raymond, and Sony teaming up. We got Animal Crossing Sucks. Like, it sucks. And we had the Square Enix Presents, the very first one. But before we get to all of that...
Hold on. Before we get to any of that, I just want to mention my video is doing weird things, so I'm going to go videoless for about a minute while I troubleshoot this. Keep going, though. People can still hear me.
Should I just keep going? Okay.
Yeah.
For our main quest, we're talking about console-based VR. There's kind of two opposing stories here of Sony's VR approach and Microsoft's non-approach to VR that we want to talk about. So the first is that there are images released by Sony of the PlayStation 5 VR controller. They've also talked a little bit about what that is. In an article here from Michael McWhorter at Polygon. PS5 VR images, specs for Sony's PlayStation 5 VR controller, and a lot of it makes sense. It takes inspiration from the DualSense, so it's going to have adaptive triggers just like you would see in the DualSense. It's going to have haptic feedback just like you'd see in the DualSense, but then it also is going to have some things that are obviously more specific to VR, like finger touch detection and tracking via the ring that looks very much like the Oculus ring, which they should do because it works well. And it has buttons. It has the usual suspects of buttons, and then also the grip button.
But you know what's important
but
about
again,
the
makes
buttons
sense is there
is that they don't, unlike the dual move controllers, which were only meant to be used really one at a time. These have two buttons each, with the triangle and square I think being on the left, and then circle and cross being on the right, rather than having all four on both, and they're in weird positions.
Yeah, and that's because the PlayStation Move controller was never designed to be a VR controller. It was designed to compete with the Wii back in the PlayStation 3 era. And they're like, hey, we're making a VR headset. What can we use right now to make this work? And I'll just say thank God they're releasing custom controllers for VR, because these look, although they are kind of odd looking at first, they are much, much more tailored to a VR experience. Chad, what do you, as the kind of the big VR person here, what are your thoughts on the controller? Yes, it's a fat
Calling
joke.
me fat? Call me a big VR? No, I'm very excited. I think that having them more in line with the Oculus controllers, the touch controllers for Oculus, and then also having them in line with what is the other one?
The Vive?
Is it the Vive that has their own controllers as well?
Yeah, Vive. Well, I guess the Index is separate, but yeah, the Vive has like the ring on their controllers too.
Yeah. So having them in line with that, I think, is driving us more towards consistency and experience. So when you're in VR on one thing, you go to another one, it doesn't feel completely foreign. It just like whenever you game on Xbox, you go to Sony, PlayStation, and it doesn't feel completely foreign. You're holding a slightly different shape controller, but there are 4 buttons. There's a directional pad. There's triggers. Mm-hmm. So I think getting us to that kind of similar form factor is really important. But then I think, obviously, we talked about this when they announced the headset 2 weeks ago, that like the haptics are going to be a game changer. The trigger or grip button is going to be a game changer for them. And because they mentioned that, they specifically said the headset is tracking the controllers via the circle on the bottom, that it sounds like there's not going to be a camera with this one. It's going to be inside-out tracking on the headset, which is what we kind of have been assuming for a while. So I'm very excited about this. I'm really pumped to see what developers are doing with it. It sounds like they're getting these controllers aren't quite yet in developers' hands, it sounds like, or maybe a select few, but the headset itself is. So I'm curious what developers are going to end up doing with this, what Sony's going to do with it. But what this really says to me is that like this, if we're getting this much information about it and we're getting like actual product renders this quickly, like we had the announcement that it exists 2 weeks ago, we have this week, and then like this, we could be getting a reveal of what this looks like or how it functions a lot sooner than I think we all anticipated.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if at E3 we get more information about this and we kind of get a trickle throughout the rest of the year. Whereas, like, I've kind of maintained in the past few years that, like, consoles should be coming out in the fall because a company doesn't want to announce a new product and then have a holiday season where people know about that new product. But VR is different because it's not this, like, super hot seller that Sony's going to lose a lot of money if they have this new product announced during the holiday season. And I think there's also an expectation of there's a PS5, there's a new headset coming, and people should be waiting anyway. So I kind of feel there's not really a risk for them to have an announced product with the holiday season upcoming, which would then kind of lend an opportunity for Sony to release this very early next year. Because I think, didn't they, and I haven't looked this up, but like, didn't they announce or release PlayStation VR in like February when it first came out?
No, it was October.
Was it October? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like they could do a early 2020 release, and it totally fit within 2022. Yeah, early release of last year. They could totally do that,
and that gives PlayStation 5 an 18-month head start on having an install base of people who can use this VR headset. Since it sounds like it's definitely going to be PS5 exclusive.
Yeah, I think the other good thing about this too is that they are. This goes back to the controllers. They're making this tailored for VR now.
Yeah.
Which I kind of feel like means two things. One, just Sony's taking it more seriously, which is always a good thing. And two, that this is very much a next generation experience in the sense that developers will be making games specifically for a PlayStation VR 2, where it's not going to, at least I would imagine that with the way these controllers are laid out, the way these controllers are working, you might see games that aren't even coming to PlayStation VR, and they can focus fully on PlayStation VR 2, with the big thing being there that they can now compete more directly with PC VR, which was always a much stronger experience than PlayStation VR was. PlayStation VR, I honestly don't know how that worked. I really don't, because like the specs on Oculus, Vive, Index, all of these are so far ahead of the specs of the PlayStation 4. It's just amazing to me that they got the PlayStation 4 to run VR as well as it did. So this kind of, I think, sets them up where they can really have a competitive VR experience on a power level where you'll see things like Half-Life Alyx coming to a wider group of people than have ever been able to access that game, which can really open up things for VR industry as a whole. And I just think this is huge. And I really hope that this pushes VR further than it did last time.
Yeah, me too.
On the opposite side of that,
can I ask real quick, before we move on from it, can I ask, do you think this will be a more approachable price point? Do you think it'll be more affordable? Like, where do you see this falling? Is it, obviously the controllers are a lot more advanced. There's the touch, like capacitive touch almost, it sounds like, or even something far beyond that. Like, is this going to be able to compete in the same space that PlayStation VR 2 or PlayStation VR was able to?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely not going to be as low in price as the Oculus Quest 2. I think that's still probably going to be the most affordable way to get into VR. But I don't feel like... I feel like as long as it's within the price range of PlayStation 5, it's going to be okay. And I think the reason for that is I still don't... Although I think this is a better hope for VR going forward, it's going to open things up for VR going forward, I still don't think it's going to make VR mainstream. I just think it's going to keep that train going along comfortably. And I think it's kind of all it needs to do right now. And so I feel like if it's in terms of like, accessibility, in terms of price and that kind of stuff, I feel like $400 or $500 is appropriate for where it needs to be. That's at least where I'm kind of thinking it would be. I don't think they need to get to Index territory where it's like $1,000. This is a console VR experience. As long as it's not significantly more expensive than buying a PlayStation 5 itself, it's okay.
Yeah. I think that's a good call too. And what did PSVR launched at 200?
No.
Sorry, that's what you can get it on sale right now. 400, right? It was $400.
I don't know. I was thinking a second ago 600, but I'm like, I don't think that's right either.
No, I think
Let me
it
look
was
this up now
$399.
because I'm kind of curious. Was it $399? I don't know why 600 jumped in my head, but I don't think it's 600. Let's just do
600 was what Oculus launched at.
Yeah, that's right. 600 was where Oculus Rift first was. PlayStation VR announcement. And I misspelled every word in there. Thank you, Google, for picking it up.
You're welcome.
2016. Let's see. Launching October for $399. Yeah. But what did that include? Was that just the controller and the headset?
That was just the headset.
Not include the controller?
Did not include Move controllers, just the headset.
This has to include the controllers because it's not like they can expect people to have Move controllers at home. Yeah, it did not include the headset. Yeah, so I feel like if they can release this around that price range with the controllers, that would be ideal. They might lose money on it, just like they're losing money on the PlayStation 5. But hopefully they'll make it up in software sales, and will probably already be making money off of PlayStation 5 at that point.
Yeah. All right, I'm bringing my video back. It's going to be delayed and glitchy and weird, but you can see my face.
The other side of the console VR coin is coming to us from Matt Kim at IGN. He says Xbox Series X VR not in the works, quote, at this time, according to Microsoft. So IGN Italy was reviewing the Xbox wireless headset, which apparently is very good, and got an interesting message on the screen when they plugged it in. It said the VR headset they plugged in needs an update, which was very intriguing. So they reached out to Microsoft. A spokesman from Microsoft reached out back and just said, and this is the exact quote, "The copy in this error message is inaccurate due to localization bugs. VR for console is not a focus for us at this time." They didn't say it's not in development. They just say it's not a focus for us. So I think this kind of brought up the question of like, well, is this going to be coming at some point in the future? They've said in the past it's definitely not. Phil Spencer's commented on this and said that PC is for VR and Xbox is for these kind of home 2D flat screen experiences. Not 2D in like 2D, 3D games, but 2D versus VR, like flat screen versus VR.
He also had that controversial quote where he said, I think it was early last year, he said, "We're not working on VR because nobody's asking for it."
Yeah.
And everyone was like,
I don't believe that for a second. Yeah, I think this is interesting. What are your thoughts on this, Chad?
I 100% believe them, and here's kind of my explanation for it. They have not ever had a wireless headset. Microsoft has never made a wireless headset, so they probably like named it. You know, the device identifier that the Xbox is picking up is probably like Xbox headset or Microsoft headset, and the Xbox runs a version of Windows 10. Windows 10 is compatible with VR devices. It's probably just like something that carried over from the PC or desktop version of Windows 10 over to Xbox. It recognized something called a headset, and the code told it, all right, display this message about VR headset. When it was really just, I think that's something, probably not exactly that step or those series of things that happened, but I think it's just a holdover from them sharing software and it recognizing it incorrectly.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was that exact series of steps. It uses the same code base for Windows 10. I mean, it is Windows 10 on an Xbox Series X and S. So like, I think that makes complete sense why this would happen. I think you're right. It's a headset. Computer said headset, VR headset. Here's a message I'm supposed to show when headsets are connected that need an update because I don't recognize this. Totally plausible. I think calling it localization,
probably like literally in whatever language this was, like they said it's a localization issue. It's probably literally like the same word maybe for both.
Yeah. So I believe them that there's no VR headset in the works. I guess my question to you is, do you think they need to?
I think that they are obviously missing out on an audience, but I think I've mentioned several times on here, I don't think Xbox making a VR headset is necessary. I don't think we need to fragment the VR community anymore and make more incompatibility or more exclusive shit that everyone can't play together. I think the right move is just to make existing VR capable of running with an Xbox so that you can download games to your Xbox and run them on an Oculus headset or run them on a Valve headset. Even though Oculus is moving away from that kind of thing and just doing all standalone.
Yeah, I mean, you can still plug in a Quest 2 into a PC. Like, it can do that. And maybe one day, you're right, like, we'll see you can plug a Quest 2 or an Index or any other, like, headset that's not one of the typical kind of usual suspects. You'll be able to plug into an Xbox and it'll work. I think that's a better approach for Microsoft. I think Sony doesn't have that option because they have their own custom software on PlayStation, whereas Microsoft can say, well, why would we custom make this headset, custom make software when it already works on PC, it's already great, the Series X is possible, and in 3 years or something like that, when VR maybe becomes more competitive to a degree that they are interested in it, they can say, hey, we're going to unlock this, you can plug in an Oculus, whatever, or a Vive, whatever, and No Man's Sky is going to have VR capabilities in it.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's totally possible, and I think it's probably a cleaner direction for them to go in. Whereas, like, Sony experiments with VR and kind of that kind of stuff, Microsoft's more experimenting in their services and that kind of stuff. And those are the directions they go in. Microsoft doesn't need to invest money in experimenting with VR. They just don't have to.
They don't need to. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got to say about VR this week.
Well, no, it's actually not everything you have to say about VR, because moving on to playtime,
oh, that's
you have
right.
something
that's
VR
right.
related here.
I do have something VR related here. Sorry, Dallas, I snarkily replied to you in the Twitch chat about the audio feed running over Holden's. You're right. I did just reduce that echo. You're welcome. Yes. Hey, I played Beat Saber. They dropped a new soundtrack this week, which is dope. I'm loving how much they're still continuing to support that game. So it's 4 new tracks from their original artists. It's not like, hey, this is Linkin Park, or hey, this is Imagine Dragons. It's just like their original tracks, which are always fun. I had a blast with them, jumped in, S-ranked the first 3. I could not. The last track on the 4 was like an expert. I'd try everything on expert and just immediately S-rank it because I'm just like a god. But I jumped into that one and I couldn't S-rank it. I couldn't finish the song without any modifiers on after like 3 or 4 attempts. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm not playing that song ever again. No, just kidding. I just didn't have time for it, but I'm going to jump back into it. It's fun. Just want to say Beat Saber's the best game in the world. End of story. I played also Destiny 2 this week some more. Surprise. We raided again. It was great. Had a good old time. We didn't actually guilt Joel into this. Joel guilted himself into buying yet another expansion on PlayStation, even though he mainly plays on Xbox. So he bought Beyond Light so he could raid with us for Audrey's birthday. It was Audrey's birthday, and she decided she wanted to play Destiny with us. Also, what else do you do in a pandemic other than nothing? I'm playing Final Fantasy IX. I started playing that, mostly streaming it to my iPad with remote play as my preferred method because I can't find my Vita charger. Otherwise, I would be remote playing it to my Vita. Loving that. That's our barf game for this month, the Backlog Accomplishment with Respawn and Friends game. So everyone should be playing that for March and April, and we'll talk about it at the end of the month. Write us in your thoughts on it. I'm enjoying it. And then Holden.
Spoilers.
This is the biggest news. Outriders, the game, is fucking awesome. The demo dropped a couple weeks. I know we're late to this. The demo dropped a few weeks ago, and it's been on my, dashboard on my PlayStation. I've been looking to get into it. I'm like, okay, I'll get to it. It sounds cool. And then people have just like constantly been posting good things on Twitter. And I was like, okay, I've got nothing to do for like a little bit here one afternoon. I was taking a break from work, and so I texted the group. I said, hey, anyone want to try out the Outriders demo with me? And Dallas was like, I'll do it. I went in expecting, based on the trailers that I'd seen, a Destiny ripoff. And that's why I was like, okay, I'll play this, but it's never going to replace Destiny for me, so I'm not going to put too much effort into it. So I went in expecting a Destiny ripoff. And there's a single-player prologue chapter you have to play before you can play together. And Dallas and I were just playing it simultaneously. And while we were doing it, we were both talking about, oh, man, this is pretty. And I was like, man, I like these camera movements. I feel like, it's all handheld. It's not your traditional open world talk over the shoulder at somebody. I like it's shaky. There's interesting cinematography going on. And then I said, you know what? It kind of reminds me of Mass Effect in that way. And then we start talking to the characters, and there are dialogue options. You can learn more about what they're doing in their backstories. The acting is great. The sci-fi story gets really interesting really quickly, and we're like, fuck, this is kind of like Mass Effect. This sounds like it's going to be a really great experience. And so I was really into it. And then you get into the combat. And I'm like, you know what? The combat kind of feels pretty good. It feels very Gears of War. It's a cover-based shooter. Although from our play styles, you can also like run in and just fucking run and gun everywhere. But you might die a few times. But it's Gears of War cover-based. I was like, the weapons feel really good. It feels kind of like heavy like Gears of War. So like it's not like super auto-tracky like Destiny is, which is why you feel so great and powerful in Destiny. I was like, man, this feels good. This feels good. I'm liking this. And then you get the powers. You choose your class, and you get your superpowers. And they have a Technomancer, which is like taking shit from the anomaly around you and turning it into weapons and turrets or healing shit. They have the Trickster, which is playing with space-time and freezing people and like warping places, shooting people behind and warping back out. There's the Devastator, which is taking like earth and shit like that and like pounding the ground, covering yourself with armor, being a tank. And then there's the Pyromancer, where you're just all sorts of fire shit and turning people to ash. And they have mastered making you feel badass as hell with all of these superpowers. And it felt really cool. And I was really super into it. And I was like, man, fuck, I hate that I like this game a lot. Because I wasn't planning on buying it. It also comes free with Xbox Game Pass day one on April 1st. I was like, damn it.
Does it have crossplay?
It has crossplay, not cross progression though. So if I start it on Game Pass, I can't bring my save over to PlayStation. So now I have this dilemma of like, do I buy it on PlayStation or do I play it free on Xbox? And I decided I'm going to buy it on PlayStation for the trophies. But also, like, that's where my friends are going to play. I don't want to have to worry about, like, doing Discord for audio or in-game chat because it's always going to sound terrible. But this game is fucking dope. I didn't realize this until, like, a couple of days ago when I listened to the JK Games podcast with Jerica and Kayla, that the developers are People Can Fly, who made most of the Gears of War games with Epic. They co-developed them, and also worked on Bulletstorm with Gearbox, which is why the skill tree and, like, the powers feel really developed and good like Borderlands does. Like they have those partnerships. They've worked with these people before. But it's a Square Enix game, published by Square Enix, and I totally got lost in it. And we played even more today. I was like, I want to try out. You can play the demo, the whole first chapter of the game. You can play the demo. You can skip the prologue once you've unlocked it so you can try out the different characters and figure out which class you want to go with. And so Dallas and I again played again with a different character, and we ended up kind of choosing which one we think we're going to go with. But I think the thing that sold me on it was that it's not a game of service like I thought it was. It is a linear experience with side quests and stuff like that, but they are telling a story from start to finish. So I'm very excited that this might fill the tiny Mass Effect hole in my heart until Mass Effect Trilogy gets here in May. I just fucking love it. I honestly think you should give it a shot too. We obviously won't have room for you in our group of 3 because you can only play with 3 people, but I think you would really, really enjoy it. And you can play the whole thing single player as well. Or Brent might want to play it with you too. Because I'm sure Dallas is going to get it and then Brent will have it.
I have not cared about this game, honestly, until your explanation. That was a great explanation. The Mass Effect aspects to it, the Gears of War. I mean, I don't play a lot of Gears of War, but I'm familiar enough with its combat that I know I like that style of combat. It's a fun experience. That sounds really, really interesting. And I did totally think of it as a game of service game. So knowing that it's kind of this linear story, and I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I will give that a try. And my Game Pass just renewed for 3 months, so
so you've got
I have no choice.
Yeah,
I got it. I don't have my Xbox with me in Texas right now, but when I go back in about 2 weeks, I can totally give that a shot. That sounds awesome. That sounds like a really good experience.
Just for now, play the demo on PlayStation.
Cool.
Just download the demo. I mean, progress carries over if you care about not replaying the first 90. Yeah, you can, the demo's available forever and beyond.
Oh, still okay. Oh, okay, gotcha. To Infinity and Beyond?
Forever and Beyond, which is the band I made with Orva Crawford when I was like 8 years old. We called it Forever and Beyond, and we abbreviated it to FAB. I played a little like 12-key Casio keyboard. Orva didn't play anything. Morgan played a trash can drum.
I was just saying that. I was thinking Forever and Beyond's actually a really good band name. And he said Fab, and I'm like, an undercut so fast.
Yep.
Forever Beyond, though, that's a good band name. That's a good one.
Yeah. All right, sorry, that's it for what I played. I'm just super into Outriders right now.
You are all good. I learned a lot from that. I did not know any of that. I also just hadn't looked into it. I just kind of thought, oh, it looks like a game service game, and didn't want to do it. But now I'm convinced. I'm totally going to do that. I played 2 things this week. We'll talk about Animal Crossing later on. I actually didn't play it. I'm jaded, but we'll get there. I played Maquette, which is with the free game for PlayStation 5, PS Plus right now. There's a trailer released for a little while ago. It's like a puzzle story game, and I was immediately intrigued based on the trailer. I finished it in one sitting just because it's really short, and I wanted to get it over with. I wouldn't say I loved this game. I did not hate it, but it was fine. It's a 3.5 hour experience, according to howtobeat.com. I think it probably took me about that amount of time. Basically, what it is it's a story game kind of in the context of like The Remains of Edith Finch. What Remains of Edith Finch, and how like you'll walk around, there'll be like kind of text blurbs that fill up the screen. There's a narrator telling you the story. You'll go to a certain part of the world, and they'll kind of unfold a sequence that, like a video sequence of like people talking to kind of tell you the story, and the story was just awful. It was just really bad, and if it wasn't for the really cool puzzle mechanics, I would have stopped. Like, holy crap. I'll talk about the story really quickly first, and then I'll go to the puzzle mechanics. Bad first, good later. So the story is like this like love story, and the whole time I'm thinking, what does this love story have to do with the puzzles and the world I'm exploring? It doesn't connect at all for me. And also the love story is so bland and like uninteresting. It's literally like, oh, we both scrapbook, isn't that nice? And it's like this perfect like relationship in the beginning where like everything is just like, hey, I kind of feel like we're more than friends. Like, yeah, I feel that too. And I'm like, oh, this is just like so awful. And then like the next chapter immediately, it's like, there were problems. Why'd you come home late? I was working. Oh, you were working. It's just like, and it's just like, I don't care. I just want to skip this part of the story. It's so boring. And then there's no sense of character. It just feels like there's a male person talking and there's a female person talking, and they're in love. I couldn't tell you what their names were. I couldn't tell you anything about their personalities, what they're interested in. Like, they talked about work in school, but I don't know what they're studying in school. I don't know what they do for work. I have like no reason to like care about these people at all. But I only kept going because the puzzles were interesting. But it got tough at certain points, because if you mess up something in the puzzles, the restart button resets the entire level, which means you have to listen to all those really boring story sequences over again. And I was bashing my head against the wall until I figured out there's a save mechanic where you can save it. So I'd save it before I started a new puzzle element, and then I would just go back to that save as opposed to restarting the whole level. But let's talk about the puzzles themselves, because it's a really, really clever puzzle game, even though it's kind of short. And the idea of the puzzle is that there are 3 levels to this world. There's a huge version of the world that's outside of where you typically are. There's the area you're walking around, and then there's a smaller version of the area you're walking around that looks like a playset version. So you have, and they're all the exact same world, but bigger or smaller versions of it. And the idea is that you will, say, need to place a staircase. So you'll have this little tiny staircase that you can pick up and move into the playset small version, put it where you want, and then it shows up exactly that way in the medium and large size versions of the world. And it plays with that concept to build a bridge so you can cross a certain area you couldn't before. But then they really start to like play with it, where you'll actually then take the big size version of that item and put that in the playset version so that you can navigate somewhere even higher than you couldn't before. And they do a really kind of good job of getting you to, like, I think a good puzzle is where you feel like you've broken the game to achieve the result, but then you realize, oh no, that was actually how you were supposed to solve this puzzle. That's really cool. So there's a lot of moments like that throughout the game that I really enjoyed. And there's definitely parts where you're like scratching your head, like, how on earth is this supposed to work? And then you'll figure out one small little thing and you're like, oh, brain blown. that's how it is. Like, there's lots of really cool moments like that throughout. So like I'm caught on ends with it where I really like some of the puzzle elements of it, even if sometimes it was too vague and I had to like reset everything to like make sure I was doing it the right way. And then also just the other side of that is just the story is so horrible. I wish that it just wasn't a part of the experience at all. So like, I guess like I would recommend playing it if you're interested in those kind of puzzle games because it's free on PlayStation Plus. Like, why not? It's not a long experience. But I definitely kind of went into it with a higher hope than, and then I ended up feeling like got met. So I'm kind of conflicted on it, but like overall, like it was fine.
Here's what interests me about that game.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a cool idea, you know, playing with the tiny world and the big world and the big world and the tiny world, like that relationship between the two. The trailer looked cool. It's free, which is cool, but it's a short game. It's like a 4 or 5 hour platinum, apparently. I don't like puzzle games, and it sounds like I'm not going to like trying to figure it out myself because I might see some more shit over and over that I don't want to see. But if I just go online and look up the solution to all these puzzles, that's like maybe a 2 or 3 hour platinum. If I don't have to think or work hard to... That's what interests me, Holden. You might have just enabled me as a drug addict.
It actually uses the hint system. So there's a few points from like, am I missing something? It's not perfect. There are points where like I was missing a hint completely and it kept hinting to something I'd already done. So it's not perfect. But it is there if you need it. And there was like 2 points where I'm like, what is this going to tell me? Because I just need like a nudge in the right direction. So that's there.
Got it. What are you doing playing No Man's Sky again?
Yeah, so I got No Man's Sky. So here's the story there is when I bought a digital version of the PlayStation 5, I knew I would have to rebuy No Man's Sky again because I have the disc of that game. I don't know why. I don't know what possessed me to do such a vile act, but I did buy the physical version of that game.
That is disgusting.
And I kind of figured even if I buy the physical version of it, or the digital version of it, it's still cheaper to have bought the digital PlayStation 5 and the digital version of No Man's Sky than it would have been to have just bought a physical version of the PlayStation 5 just for No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
So
also,
I was
what a
wait
waste
for
of an investment.
Yeah. And I was going to wait for a sale, but I'm like, I got my Steamy check this week. This is what it's for, to feed it back into Hello Games and support their economy. And I got to say, the PlayStation 5 version's excellent. It's like really, really good. The improvements are massive. Just with loading times, it felt night and day difference. But this is the common story with this generation, it feels like, is, oh my god, loading times are so much better. So I won't waste much time with that. But considering you'd have to spend about 2 minutes waiting to get into the game the first time you load it on a PS4, and now it's like 30 seconds, huge difference. Warping between planets, or not planets, different galaxies, different solar systems. That's about 10 seconds now, where it was like a full minute before. Like, all these improvements, so worth it. 4K 60 frames per second, just feels super smooth all throughout. That alone's way better, but it's got the 3D audio, and that makes these worlds really come to life in a way they didn't before, especially when you couple that with more lively planets. Because it's a heavily CPU based game, because they have to procedurally generate everything in the world, they can generate more stuff now, so the terrain looks more realistic. There's just much more plant life and animals kind of walking around and stuff, where it feels more lively as a planet than it never did before. The grass parts way when you move through it. I'm finding much more lush planets as a result. Like, it's just like an insanely improved experience that I'm really, really excited to keep exploring. I feel more compelled to play this game than ever before. And that's especially because the DualSense controller is fucking dope with this game. You feel everything in the haptics. Whenever you're using your mining tools, you'll actually feel the rocks pop and explode when you mine them enough. You just get that sense of feedback when you shoot your gun, when you go into warp speed and everything. It's just like you feel the game more than you ever felt it before. Yeah. And I think this is a really, really good example of what the PS5 can do. Like, it just, in every way, it's a way better experience. And there are also so many things that I missed the last time I returned to No Man's Sky there's a ton of stuff that I miss that I really appreciate. Like things even in space feel more lively because you can come across space anomalies and things like that now. Where like I was flying and it's like, oh, stop, there's something that we've detected something, and then you stop from your flying in your pulse drive, you slow down, and then all of a sudden there's these like giant space worm in front of me, and I'm like, oh shit, like just keep going. I'm not fighting that thing. Like I gotta get out of here. I met the sandworm on a planet, and that was super, super cool. I found the coolest planet I've ever seen in No Man's Sky, which was a bioluminescent planet where there were like these waves of light that will travel across the planet, but it's like the grass would light up, the mushrooms that were acting as like the trees of the planet would light up, all in these like wave like patterns that would move across the planet. It was so cool looking, and it only happened at night. So when I first started the planet, I'm like, oh, this is some kind of cool looking like purple grass, and I like these big mushroom towers. And then night hit, and I'm like, oh my god, they're all lighting up in this like wave pattern. That's insane. It was just, I'm seeing really cool things. There was
Makes
a
you
planet
want to go back and visit all the planets at
scales.
night and see what you've
All
missed.
the planet. No, seriously though, yeah. It's like they've just added so much to that game. It's a much improved experience. So I'm in. I'm back in, man. I want to keep playing that game, and I feel like now that I've like in my Animal Crossing, I've kind of gotten my island that I wanted, and that was kind of like my go-to like work on this for a long period of time kind of game. I want to build a base in No Man's Sky, and I want to invest the same kind of time in that than I did with Animal Crossing. So I think this is going to kind of take over Animal Crossing for a while, even though those games really have nothing to do with each other. And it's also because I'm really jaded in Animal Crossing, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Is it because of the video I sent you guys?
Oh, I saw the clip, but I haven't watched it yet.
You haven't watched it yet? Oh man, it's
No,
spoopy.
sorry.
It's spoopy.
It's spoopy. Animal Crossing and spoopy. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a like 6-minute short horror film about this girl playing Animal Crossing on her bed and demons and shit.
Oh, okay, interesting.
It's good. It's good.
Moving on to the quest log, we're starting off with Sony here. And we got I think, a really good story, which is PlayStation invests in Jade Raymond's new independent studios as Christopher Dring at gamesindustry.biz. So after leaving Google, Jade Raymond is heading up a new studio at Sony called Haven Entertainment Studios, and they are working on an original IP for PlayStation 5. I'm sure they have made almost no progress on it, considering she left
Right.
Google like 5 seconds ago. Chad, are you excited about this?
Sure. And it's a PlayStation exclusive game, which already gives it a leg up in quality. It means, in my eyes, like whenever I see something that's PlayStation exclusive, it means, oh, PlayStation's pumping money into this. They care about it, and I see what they do with their exclusive properties. So that, yes, has me excited. Jade Raymond is, you know her best from Assassin's Creed, Stadia, and two things that are like I couldn't really get into. So I hope that whatever she makes is going to be great. But no, she does great work. People love her games. It's a shame that she wasn't able to do what she wanted at Stadia, but it's cool that Sony is saying, hey, we recognize talent and we want to put money in it.
That post that she made on PlayStation Blog heavily suggested, to me at least, that the Google Stadia working experience was not awesome.
Yeah.
She said something along the lines of like, in the past few years, these are the things that I've wanted to do. And I'm like, you've been at Google the past few years, and now you're saying you're able to do these things. So I hope that
you were at Google,
it's always nice
leading a studio, developing first party like original properties, and you couldn't do the things that you wanted to do. Oh shit.
Yeah. So I it's always nice when a creative kind of lead in the industry, basically she has wings, she can fly now. That's great. I wish Amy Hennig would get an experience like this, because she's
that poor woman. So you know, we have that whole documentary about Free Britney. We need to free Amy Hennig.
just give her Star Wars game back. I want Project Ragtag really badly.
Just let her release anything. She hasn't been able to release a game in over a decade.
Can you imagine being just creatively like tied up like that. Not tied up in like so many creative projects.
It's creative
like,
blue balls.
Unable to do anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get so excited about
absolutely.
something, you get like 3/4 of the way done, like, oh no, you're not on this anymore, or we're canceling that thing. Good luck elsewhere. You're like, fuck. You gotta go take a cold
That
shower.
must be what hell is.
Yes, that's what hell is. It's Amy Hennig getting things
What's not
canceled over
hell.
and over.
What is not hell and what is heavenly is PlayStation giving out 10 fantastic PS4 games for Play at Home 2021, says Jordan DeVore at Destructoid. Here are the 10... Well, actually, it's more... Is it 10 games? Yeah, 10 games that Sony's making available for free. These are good games.
Yeah.
Abzu, Enter the Gungeon, Res Infinite, which has optional VR, Subnautica, The Witness, Astrobot Rescue Mission for PlayStation, actually the next few are PlayStation VR, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Moss, Thumper, which is not only PlayStation VR, but you can get it that way, and then Paper Beast. And then also Horizon Zero Dawn, the complete edition, is going to be free as well. There's a lot of good stuff there, and also a wide variety.
In addition to, they've had Ratchet and Clank available for free for the last few weeks as well.
Mm-hmm.
I say this is a dope lineup of games. I've played most of them on this list. If you own them through PlayStation Plus, make sure you still go and actually like redeem them through this as well. That way, even if you stop paying for PlayStation Plus, you have these games for free. 5 of these are PlayStation VR games, and they are arguably some of the best VR games that exist on the platform. So if someone's like, hey, I'm getting a VR, what should I get? These 5 games would 100% be on that list, which is awesome. Thumper is optional VR, but you should definitely play it in VR if you have that option. The only one I'm not familiar with is actually Subnautica, whatever that is. But everything else is awesome.
It's like
Horizon Zero Dawn's coming also
like
delayed.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Sub, under, nautica, nautical, ocean, boats, sailors. But yeah,
Boom.
Horizon Zero Dawn's coming April 19th, I think it is. So it's coming a couple weeks after everything else. But that's dope. I'm curious, like they released a few games last year under this same like Stay at Home 2020. Like, what made them wait another year to continue this program? They're like, we're excited to continue Stay at Home. I'm like, we've been fucking suffering. But no,
Because they
I'm glad
want you
they're
to
doing
buy games, that's why.
They do.
Can't give out too much free stuff.
Everyone play
I'm
Abzu.
excited to...
Play Abzu, y'all. Give it a shot.
I'm excited that The Witness is here. Not that I think that like everyone would love that game, but it's a hard game to tell someone to buy. It's like, oh, it's really great. You'll explore this beautiful island and solve line puzzles. I'm like, great, I'll spend my $40 elsewhere.
Yep.
But I feel like now that it's free, it's like, hey, try this out. It's not for everyone, but there's a chance you could really enjoy it. And that's a much easier sell than telling you to put money down on it.
Yeah.
So give that game a chance. It's a really, really good puzzle game. And then Thumper's just dope. It's a really cool game.
I've also been wanting to do Paper Beast. I haven't given it a shot. It came out a few months ago, and I've seen a lot of good stuff on Twitter about it. But it's like a VR, you're immersed in like this dinosaur origami planet, and it looks really cool. So I'm excited to try that.
Yeah. Glad we're excited about that. I am not excited for this next set of stories we're going to be talking about. Not at all. Matter of fact, in the notes, I actually just wrote out the expletive emoji because I'm really mad.
Are you in Animal Crossing getting a divorce?
We're
Do I
getting
have to pick sides?
No,
I'm picking Animal Crossing.
I just want to say up front, I am a jaded, ungrateful fan. I recognize that. This is not like I am being ungrateful. So here are the details. Nintendo details Animal Crossing New Horizons big anniversary update, says Ryan Craddock at Nintendo Life. It includes such great anniversary prizes such as an anniversary cake. You get a cake. I haven't opened up the game because I don't care about getting this stupid cake. The headline here is Sanrio Sweetness, which basically just means there are these special, I guess, Sanrio characters and furniture items, but they're only accessible if you have these amiibo cards. They're already sold out, so good luck. One feature that actually is a big deal for a lot of people, I don't care, but I respect this is a big feature for a lot of people, is the Custom Designer Pro Editor Plus. There's basically like in the game, there's a pro tier of the custom designs you can make. This is another level above that, so you can have more designs if you want to, which has been a heavily requested feature. So I props to them for doing that. They also have a custom design portal, so you can kind of share your designs more easily. And then there's just like more seasonal items in the update as well. We'll talk about that first. Here's why I'm jaded and like upset. I was really hoping, and this is my own expectations here, I had very specific expectations of like a big yearly update in the lines of the Welcome Amiibo for New Leaf, that they were going to do something kind of bigger, and it just feels like the same exact thing. It wouldn't have bugged me if they just didn't call this an anniversary update. It just said like, hey, here's our March update. That, it wouldn't have bugged me. It's that they called this the anniversary update, and it's like, we're giving you a cake. It just felt like kind of cheap to me. Like, I just was really bummed. I want new stores. I want to see Nook's Cranny expand, because in every other game he's had like 5 expansions and we only have 2 in this game. I want like that kind of content.
What's typical in an anniversary? I'm not familiar with the Animal Crossing games before this one. What's typical in an anniversary update there, or like a big update? So
I mean, the Welcome Amiibo, which isn't necessarily an anniversary, which is kind of like a big tier update for Animal Crossing New Leaf, that included a whole new currency in the game in the form of these like tickets. It included a whole new set of items that you could be getting, not seasonal, but just like a new like set of items that are available year round. It included a campsite, which had a whole nother like kind of aspect to the game was added there. And it was something they actually charged money for. Like that was that big, like that kind of level of an update. And I don't expect that they'll do a paid update. I kind of feel like they sold enough copies, so they'll probably just do like a big update. But maybe they will do DLC now. I don't know. But like when they call this anniversary, it just gave me this idea of like, oh, it's going to be big. There was also just like a lot of, and again, this plays into me being an ungrateful fan and me having expectations, was that there was a lot of rumors about like a big anniversary update coming up that was going to kind of shake things up a little bit. So there's kind of like a lead up in that way. And I think also for me, like I was expecting specific things. It wasn't like I had this general notion of like, can't just wait to see whatever they offer me. Like I did have specific things that I kind of want, like I said, like the Nook's Cranny and that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm kind of bummed. It's like, I felt like if they're going to do an anniversary update, I would have wanted more than a cake and villagers that I wouldn't have gotten via amiibo cards that I wouldn't have bought, that no one can buy because they're sold out. It just feels weird to me. Yeah. I don't think that this is like it. I think there will still be like monthly updates like they've been doing every month. But it just felt weird to me to call this the anniversary update, as opposed to just saying, hey, it's the March update. We're adding the custom Pro Editor Plus. I mean, in past updates last year, they did add new features, like the museum was getting bigger. They added Red Ship. Like they added Gullivar. So there's like a new person coming to your town every week. Like they've done big updates like that already in a standard monthly update, that I feel like the custom, Pro Editor Plus, whatever, could have just been a part of a normal update. So I don't really see why they had to call this an anniversary outside of offering a cake. It just feels weird to me. The other reason I'm jaded, and actually to skip over a story here, they're bringing back Bunny Day. And it sounds like it's the exact same crappy Bunny Day that we had last year that seemed to piss off everyone.
Those fucking eggs.
The stupid eggs everywhere. You shake a tree, you get eggs. You go fishing, you might not get a fish, you might get an egg. You find a fossil on the ground, it might be an egg. Oh, there was a present flying in the sky. Let me get it. Oh, it's a stupid egg. Like, all that is coming back, and I feel like that was so heavily criticized. Like, why are they doing that? So my only note here is fuck Bunny Day, fuck Zipper, and fuck those stupid eggs. I can't believe they're bringing it back. It's just awful. But silver lining here, there actually is kind of a cool thing that I did want to talk about that they did this week, and that is Animal Crossing New Horizons Island Tour Creator will let you create your own tour videos, says Ryan Craddock at Nintendo Life. So basically what this does is a website service where it takes screenshots and videos that you've made of your island and compiles them together to make a video trailer of your island. So if anyone has a Mac and has used iMovie, there's like the trailers function where like you put in a bunch of video and it makes a movie trailer for you and kind of like a theme. It sounds like it's kind of like that, but to show off your your Animal Crossing island, which I think works better than doing what I did when I posted my video about my Animal Crossing island, which was like, hey, here's me just walking around the island. It's 15 minutes long. Here it's like, hey, spend a shorter period of time just looking at some highlights of my island from screenshots that I liked and videos that I've made using the capture button on the Switch. It just feels like that's a really good, simple, easy way to show off your island, and in a way that is accessible for other people to view, as opposed to these like longer form tours of islands. So I think this is a cool idea. It comes out March 23rd and it's available until the end of the year. So it's not permanent.
There are two things that I have to say about this. One,
yeah.
Well, here's half. That is a cool thing. And I think it's something that it's weird that it took them a year to do that. Number one, this should be an in-game thing. It should be something that you click, hey, I want to do an island tour, and you choose what parts of the island to show off, and it generates a video for you in the game that you can then share to your photo roll and then do the stupid QR code to transfer to your phone. It should be something in-game, not something that you upload some shit to a website to. Two, what the fuck is up with Nintendo doing these limited time things? People want this island tour thing. Why does it end at the end of the year? Mario is going away forever in 2 weeks. Why is it going away? It's stupid. Why put these arbitrary deadlines on things? I'm breaking up with Nintendo. We're getting a divorce. I know you're going to choose Nintendo over me.
Oh my God. I totally forgot. Okay, I have to. This is a little unrelated, but I have to mention this. So I'm in Texas, and there was an Amazon store, and I'm like, this is related, I promise, to what we were just talking about. Okay. And I'm like, let me go to the Amazon store. First of all, the stores are a mess. They're an absolute mess. But that's besides the point.
These are the ones where you can go in and you can just take shit off the walls and walk out and they'll charge you, right?
Not yet. But it's still like a normal store. But it's just like, it's anything you can buy at Amazon, which means there's no consistency. There's no specific thing you can say, the Amazon store will have this. It's just like a mishmash of anything you can get on Amazon, which is really weird. But anyway, they had 4 physical copies of Super Mario 3D All-Stars. I should have bought them.
Because they're going to be worth at least double.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be that person. But I was
you just got your stimmy check.
Tempted to. Yeah,
add the money to front.
I'm like, I should have done it. I didn't do it because I don't know if I wanted to be that dude. But I was so close. I could have done it. But I didn't. I didn't do it. Anyway, sorry. I had to bring that up.
Yeah.
Back to your thing about Island Tour Creator, though. I think you're right that having it as a in-game thing would have been really, really cool. There's an island you can go to, this guy named Harvey, who's like, he helps you take photos and that kind of stuff. They could have been a part of him. So you go there and you're like, hey, I want to make this album of my island. He's like, all right, give me the photos you have. And then it opens up like the camera roll or the gallery on your Switch. You pick the ones you want and then you send them it. That totally could have worked. And it totally could have fit within the context of that world. So damn, they need to hire you to work at Animal Crossing. I'm sure you would love that job.
I would shoot myself right in the foot and then go on disability and then just collect money from them and not work.
Moving on to our third-party quest log, which is just the one kind of big story here about Square Enix Presents Spring 2021. IGN, Adam Bankhurst at IGN compiled a list of everything they announced, so we're going off of that. Did you watch the event, Chad?
I did not watch the event. I caught up on the announcements. I intended to watch the Forspoken trailer, which used to be Project Athia, because I heard it was really, really cool, but I forgot to watch it.
Yeah, I checked that out. Let's start with that one. We don't have to talk about every story there because there's just a lot of things that I don't think people need to hear our opinion on. Bubble Bobble for Friends. The Baron is back is the full name. The Baron is back. Sort of Forspoken. I watched the trailer. It was not a lot. It's basically just saying it's coming out next year. Here's the actress. I forgot her name, but she's in this. She's the main character. And there's some really cool looking traversal. It looks like it's very, very fast. So they kind of said like it's designed for PS5. I'm sure that SSD allows them to navigate that world faster than they would have on prior consoles. And it looks
super sexy drive.
Damn good. Super sexy drive. That looks really cool. I'm excited about that. I'm interested to kind of see more of that for sure.
Got a big old letdown with Avengers.
I was going to ask you, as an Avengers person, what did you think of that stuff?
I saw the Black Panther trailer they released. It looks like it's going to be another melee character. It's going to perform very similarly to Black Widow, I assume. And they showed some more, like one more environment that I'm sure is going to be like 3 rooms. And that's all they're going to... I'm not excited by the shit they're putting out. The shit they're putting out is not addressing the shit that everyone wants them to fix. Especially, I don't know if you read about this, but they, a couple weeks ago, announced that they are making it harder to level up than it previously was. And everyone's like, why people want to play your game. Stop making it harder for them to level up and instead fix the things people are asking you to fix.
Can you imagine if No Man's Sky, when that game first came out, they were like, hey, we hear your complaints, you guys. We're going to make half the number of items on a planet because we know you guys are saying they're too sparse, and we're going to rein that back a little bit.
Oh, my God. So they're making mistakes left and right with that one, unfortunately. I do look forward to a year or two from now when they finally release the update, like the Taken King version of Destiny, when it's like, we fixed a whole bunch of shit and now it's a good game. Like I'm looking forward to that, and I will play it again, and there will be an exhaustive list of characters that I can finally play as, maybe, because right now they're on track to release like 3 characters a year when they were making it sound like it was going to be like 10. So yeah, Hawkeye and Black Panther didn't do enough to bring me into that game again. In fact, it just disappointed me more with its trajectory. Life is Strange, I've never really been into, but it's cool that that's getting a new game announced for 2021, and there's a remaster collection too for anyone who wants to play through all of those as well. Nothing in here really other than that tickled my pickle.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot in here. I mean, there's Outriders. We already talked about that. Yep. There's Tomb Raider Definitive Survivor Trilogy, which, like, cool. Good people who want to play that game.
I mean, I already have all those games for free through PlayStation Plus, so I'm not going to buy the trilogy.
And it's not like they're going to be, like, graphically improved or anything. Is there, like, a next-gen version that you guys? I don't even know. The next-gen updates for it? I have no clue. Yeah, it was a fine event, but usually the first event for any new company doing a new direct style event, they're usually not their strongest effort. It's usually just to kind of start things, keep it going. There'll be more. I think they said it's going to be one in the summer. I'm sure we'll hear more about Final Fantasy 16, maybe not in that next summer one, but at a Square Enix Presents event at some point. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll look forward to seeing more from them.
Honestly, their first, like, dipping their toes into doing a regular direct style thing, I think it was successful enough. It was as good as your average Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Those are the kind of bigger quest items we have for the week. Moving on to our fetch quests. Starting off with 3 Game Pass related stories. First one we've technically already talked about, which is Outriders is coming to Game Pass April 1st. Already talked about that. Undertale is coming to Xbox just period for the first time, but also coming to Game Pass. That's available already. So if you have not played Undertale, play it. It's an incredible experience. Don't look up anything online about it. Just play it. It's wonderful. The other, this is a big one too, is Xbox Game Pass PC subscribers are getting 60 plus EA games on March 18th, which means they're already available. So go check those out. So there's some good games to try out. Like, for example, like Jedi Fallen Order. Like, it might not be our favorite game, but like for free through Game Pass, if you experienced it, go for it, man. That's a good one to just try out.
And that's a big thing. This is a big thing to note, actually, is that the Game Pass PC has been kind of getting the shaft whenever it comes to Game Pass announcements. Like, for instance, Outriders is coming to Game Pass day 1, not coming to PC version, though. EA Play is included with Xbox Game Pass, not on PC. It's delayed. Several months later, we now are finally getting it, which is nice. So, like, it's good to see that they're delivering on some of these things on PC, starting with EA Play.
Yeah. This next story, though, done with the Game Pass stuff for now. This next story is a big deal for Chad. Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance release date announced. It's coming June 22nd, 2021 for all the Xboxes, all the PlayStations, and PC. Chad?
I'm so gooey.
What do you think?
That trailer, it was yummy, yummy Cocoa Puff. It looks like exactly what I want it to be. It's 4 characters from the D&D universe that I don't care about, except for one, which is Drizzt. The other, I don't even know who they are. But it's going to be fucking dope. I can't wait. I can't wait to get all my nerdy friends together, and we're all going to play through this game and have a grand old time.
Gotham Knights is slipping to 2022, says Jordan DeVore at Destructoid. We can get upset, guys, but I think the next story will explain exactly why we should be upset about this. Cyberpunk 2077 patch 1.2 will fix police response driving and more, says Charlie Hill at Polygon. Quick, just like little peeve thing I have to mention. I'm like, oh man, I think this game is more screwed than we think. And I've been high on this game, and I still think it's a good game. But like, man, so one of the things they talked about in this patch was that steering felt weird at certain points. And they said, oh, we went into the code and we realized that when you get to lower frame rates, the way it responds at lower frame rates isn't great. So rather than putting the work into fixing the frame rate, they just make it work better when the frame rate is low, which to me is not a great sign. Like, I feel like if they're like, oh, we had this plan to fix the frame rate, that will just eventually fix the steering. They decided to fix the steering with low frame rates. That's not a sign of confidence for me.
Yeah.
So that's disheartening to hear. They're saying when it gets down to like 20 and below, it's a problem. I'm like, are you still expecting this game to be below 20 frames per second when you've patched this thing up? Like, oof, not good. Moving on, though, a good update that's coming out, Among Us Airship Map. A new update is coming out later on this month. Woo! So that'll be fun. I'm down to play some more Among Us. Google Play revenue cut lowered to 15% on the first 1 million, which is exactly what Apple did back in November, which is your first $1 million, you keep more of the purchase or in-app purchase of your app, and then after the $1 million, it goes to a 30% cut. They said that this will impact...
It is slightly different than the Apple one.
Is it slightly different than Apple's?
Yeah, the Apple one is in your first year, if you make $1 million or less, you only get charged 15%. If you make $1.2 million, then your next year, you're going to owe 30% the entire year, even if you didn't make that much money again. Whereas Google's resets your count every single year, and it's like everything you earn up to $1 million is at 15%, and as you earn more than that, that's now at 30%.
Now, in the Apple one, say that your second year, you're now paying 30% cut, but you don't make $1 million. Does it go back to 15% the next year?
In your third year, it will reset to 15. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, Google's a little bit better there. I wouldn't be surprised if Apple adopts that, because that does sound definitively better for developers. And what loss?
It's also really Google's implementing theirs in June, which will be like almost a year after Apple implemented theirs. So like they've had some time to like see how test the waters with Apple and see how developers are responding to it and make some changes. So I'm sure Apple can adapt as well.
Yeah. This will positively impact 99% of developers selling apps on Google Play. So that's huge. Basically, the huge companies will continue to get charged 30%.
Yep.
That's basically what this means. And I'm totally fine with that. I think it's very fair. Lastly, actually, probably should have included this earlier, but PlayStation exclusive Avengers Spider-Man not coming anytime soon. I think I forgot to type in soon. Yeah, it's not coming anytime. It says Raymond at PlayStation Lifestyle. So they basically said that he's not coming before Black Panther, which is coming in the summer. So don't expect any Spider-Man coming before then, but they are still working on him.
They mentioned that Spider-Man's coming in 2021, but literally every single thing has been delayed in that game. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets pushed to 2022, which sucks. But
yeah. And that's all the fetch quests we got for the week. Chad, take us into the very special
Game Show. The Game on Our Gaming Show, we play a game called Game On, a game show on our gaming show. Game. And I'm even doing the dance, even though no one can see me do it. I just put that thirst trap picture from Twitter up instead of my face because the camera was just fucking up. This game is a new one. It's called Melts in Your Eyes, Not in Your Mouth. And
I can't even imagine what this game is about.
I was listening to, as I've mentioned already once, JK Games, the podcast from Jerica and Kayla. You should definitely go check it out. It's awesome. I was listening to it, and they did a segment about if video games were food, what food would they be? So they were like, they would name a video game, and like, all right, what food is this going to be? And they were, oh man, it takes a long time to beat, so maybe something that you can kind of savor for a while. So I liked that idea, so I stole it, and I changed it just enough to make it our own thing. And we are going to take, this week, PlayStation first-party franchises, and we're going to determine what candy they are. Hence, melts in your eyes, not in your mouth. Which is a spin on the famous M&M slogan, melts in your mouth, not in your hands. But you consume video games a lot with your eyes, so therefore, and you don't really consume them with your mouth. There you go. So I have 10 PlayStation first-party franchises, and I would love for us to figure out what candy they would be. And that's it. That's the game.
Let's do it.
They are not, the big ones that you would think about. They're not like, oh my God, we're going to God of War and The Last of Us and Uncharted. We're going for some of the smaller ones. Starting with
Last of Us would just be like a severed finger wrapped in candy bar wrapper.
Gross. Shadow of the Colossus. What kind of candy is Shadow of the Colossus?
It's a big candy for sure. What do you mean by big
Definitely a
candy
big
is
candy.
like...
I feel like it has to be a candy you feel guilty about too.
No, this has to be a real candy. So it has to be real
It
candy.
has to be a real candy. If it's big
Okay, so
and you feel guilty about it. Sorry, go.
It's a Hershey Symphony bar. You know the really big like Hershey Symphony bars?
I don't know what symphony bars are, but I know really big Hershey bars.
Let me look it up. When I was back in band or orchestra back in school, if you accomplished like something like memorizing a certain piece, the teacher would give you a big Hershey's Symphony bar. Maybe I'm getting it wrong.
Oh,
Hershey's Symphony.
milk chocolate with almonds and toffee giant candy bar.
Yeah, they were really big.
They literally have giant written on the package.
Perfect. So that is my suggestion for.
Holden,
There's
you know
a
what
small
else?
version to it looks like, but what else?
You know what else? There are 16 bricks on that bar, and there are 16 colossi in that game.
I don't think
It's
a better
perfect.
option could have been. It's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Shadow of the Colossus is a Hershey's Symphony bar. Giant, specifically. Okay, number 2. Gravity Rush.
Ooh.
What is Gravity Rush? You've got cats. You've got cel-shaded art style. You've got gravity effects and jumping from shit.
So I'm thinking with the art style, it's making me think more fruity. Mm-hmm. But not sour, like fruity sweet.
Fruity sweet.
What are the
What about something like a push pop? Kind of defies gravity. You push it up out of the container.
well, I was gonna say the fruit snacks, but that works better. You're right; it defies gravity.
Yeah.
Absolutely, boom, yeah,
Also, you kind of lick it like a cat.
perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
Gravity Rush is a push pop.
We're 2 out of 2 here. Like
Yeah.
we're doing really good with this.
Number 3, Days Gone. What candy would Days Gone be?
Severed finger wrapped in the wrapper. This one's tough.
Okay, it's super long. It's repetitive. There are zombies. Motorcycle is a character.
There's mountains which are triangular shaped, and Toblerones are long and repetitive and triangle shaped.
Toblerones are repetitive. I think we can do better than that. I think we can do better.
They are triangular shaped, though.
They are
That's
triangular
important
shaped.
for the mountains.
Oh,
And
I
you
wish
could
I would have
fit
put
a
Death
severed
Stranding
finger
on
in that
here.
box.
If I would have put Death Stranding, we would have totally done a baby bottle pop.
Okay, so not Toblerone.
Days Gone
okay.
candy.
I had this in my head, and I don't know if I just made this up right now, but there's like an eye candy where they look like eyeballs.
Ooh.
That might be
Candy
it.
that looks like eyeballs. Trolley Glotzer. Ew, yeah. The same people who make gummy bears and shit. They're eyeballs.
Yes. Yep, that's what I was thinking of.
Ew.
Yep.
Okay.
It works.
That's gross. All right. Next, we can't use the same candy. Until Dawn.
Eyeballs would have worked well for that.
Spooky. Tricky Mind shit. Hayden Panettiere, Heroes, Save the Cheerleader, Save the World. Rami Malek, Mr. Robot.
Here's the thing, too, with this. It can be different for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where people experience different things based on the choices they make, yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
What's a candy? Are there candies that have, like... Is there, like, a starburst of, like, random flavors?
I was just
like,
thinking,
you don't
like,
know?
what's a candy that, like, surprises you or might scare you? Or you bite into it, like, oh, my God, I didn't expect that. Like, mystery flavor Dum-Dums or...
Technically, it's from Harry Potter, but technically it's also real, is Birdie Bot's Every Flavor Beans. You can buy those.
Yep. There you go. Until Dawn is Birdie Bot's Every Flavor Beans. Great one, Holden.
They are
Great
technically
one.
real.
They are, and they're gross.
They're gross. Yeah.
Yep. Gran Turismo.
Fast Break.
Reese's Fast Break.
It's the only fast candy I can think of.
Think about like simulation, something extremely real, like so real that you don't even want it.
I was just thinking about this for the last one. I'm like, that wouldn't make any sense. You know those candies that it's like it's the orange, but it's actually an orange ball, but then you eat it and it actually does taste like an orange? Yeah, and it's chocolate.
Yeah,
they're gross and horrible. Oh, they're awful. What are you talking about? Terrible.
I love it.
It simulates an orange.
But it's not actually, like, this is simulating driving, and it's supposed to be driving. That's simulating an orange, and it's nothing like an orange.
But it's not really driving, though.
It's tricky.
Just like it's not really an orange.
We'll tentatively put chocolate orange on there.
Okay.
We'll come back if we think of anything better. Bloodborne. Spooky, dangerous.
The eyes would have been great for Bloodborne.
Eyes would have been great, yeah. Scary. Hairy. Are there hairy candies?
So many hairy candies out there.
Or candies, if you drop it and it lands on the ground, it ends up being really hairy.
Okay. Let's think of it this way. It's a tough game. What's like a tough candy, like a jawbreaker?
Oh, a jawbreaker or like a Charleston Chew. Something you have to like bite a bit of honey. A bit of honey. I
don't know. Should we relate honey and sweet to this game?
You get that sweet payoff though when you finally do beat the boss.
Okay. You know what? I got it. I got the perfect. This is it. Okay. Here's Souls games, but also Bloodborne. It's tough. It's hard. But oh, when you finally overcome it, it is sweet and awesome, right? Mm-hmm. Tootsie Pops. How many licks does it take? A bunch of licks to get to the center of it. But when you get to the center, it's satisfying. Okay. It's rewarding. You made it. Okay. And sometimes you just end up chomping down instead of actually looking to get to the bottom.
Sometimes you grind so much ahead of time so that you can just go in there and just take a big old fucking bite out of it.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that. I don't like Tootsie Rolls, but I like that. Next is Dreams. What kind of candy can you make it whatever you want it to be? You can literally make the candy. Is there like Easy Bake Oven? Something you make the candy. Or you can form it.
I mean, this is kind of cheating. But I was just thinking, like, when you go to a candy store and you can, like, get the bag and put whatever candies you want inside of it.
No,
they have little
that's
scoops.
Cheating. That's
but it's
cheating.
Like it's kind of cheating. Yeah, it's like the candy store. But I guess technically we haven't done this, which is jelly beans, which is a lot of assorted flavors, lots of surprise and variety. You might not like all of them, but you'll like some of them.
I feel like there's still something to the creation aspect of it, though. Like,
you can combine
is there a version
of
like
fruit
roll up or something like that? Anything with like fruit roll ups, you used to like have the tongue tattoos. Or you could like cut shapes out of them.
Oh yeah.
Or
the only thing I think of is there was like a ring. Was it ring pop? There's something where like you would get this thing and douse like a syrup on top of like your lollipop thing, and then you'd suck on a lollipop.
Yeah. I never had
But
it.
it's like singular though. Like it's still just like these are the two options you have, and that's it. This is a tough one.
Or what about like? What about something you can create shit like candy straws, sour straws? You can, like make shapes with them.
Pixie sticks. There's not pixie sticks. There's one where you have this like bag and it like folds up, right? I don't
Fun dip.
eat a lot of candy. Fun dip, yeah. Fun dip. You
dip.
can combine them. You dip the thing in, and then you can like.
Yeah. Variety. Yep. Okay, I'm into it.
I don't
And
even
on the
eat a lot of
bags, they usually
candy.
have like little riddles, or you can write shit on there. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
3 more. Infamous.
Sour Patch Kids.
Oh, because you can be sour or you can be sweet. You can. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good. Yep, nailed it. Little Big Planet.
Now we're back to the creative part. We already used Fun Dip, but Fun Dip's more appropriate for dreams.
Anything soft
This
and
is
cute and adorable.
Peeps.
Peeps. Oh, I mean, I think you're right, but I fucking hate Peeps.
They are soft, cute, and adorable. Didn't say anything about taste.
Yeah. I wonder if you put Sackboy in the microwave, whether he expands like that too. Yeah, I think Little Big Planet is Peeps. Damn it. All right, finally, The Order 1886 is our last one. Werewolves, cinematic, lots of dong.
I was gonna say overly
gummy dicks?
extravagant, but at the end of the day, kind of hollow.
Oh, hollow might be a good word there. What's hollow?
Bueno bars, not Bueno bars.
What is
That's not
that?
it. No, it's not Bueno bar. It's
What about like a chocolate Easter
one of the
bunny?
air bubbles. Oh yeah,
Chocolate, they're always like decorative. They're all shaped and shit like that, and they have all sorts of
And
lines
it's
and
hollow
shit
on the
to make 'em-
inside.
and you bite it up
Yeah.
and it's hollow. Yeah,
perfect.
high presentation value, low candy value. That's it for this episode of Melt in Your Eyes, Not in Your Mouth. Game on Game Show for this week. And that is it for episode 204 of Respawn Aim Fire. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Remember, you have a job to do. Go to patreon.com/respawnaimfire, get your dope wallpapers, vote on what you'd like us to play for Barf, and also play with us on game nights every Thursday. Speaking of Barf, your backlog game for the next 2 months, March and April, is Final Fantasy IX. Play it wherever books are sold. So play that. We'll be reconvening at the end of April to talk about it as well. And then keep an eye out. April 9th, The Grind. Woo! Really in-depth analyses, looks at certain things. This one about the Nintendo Switch Pro. And also available wherever books are sold. So keep a lookout for that. Do we have anything else we need people to do? Oh, yes, you're the guest. If you want to be on our show, and we want you to be on our show, go to affableidiots.com. Check out the very first post there. Sign up to be on our show. We've got a few people, but we would love to have all of our episodes for the rest of the time filled up because you guys are all just so pretty and smart and kind and important. That's it, everyone. Thank you. And until next time, here's our usual sign-off. Little Big Planet's Peeps, and I hate it.